Well, that laughter is contagious, and maybe you even caught yourself in a moment of laughter while you're watching that. But I just want to say hi. Welcome to our fourth week of online services. We're glad you're tuning in, whether you're tuning in from the local area around Hillsboro, Oregon, or somewhere further around from the state or around the nation. We are glad you tuned in. I just got to tell you that after 4 weeks of not getting together in person, I miss my Tannisborn family. I miss seeing you guys, and I am looking forward to the opportunity to be able to get together in person again. And so I'm here again, once again, in a completely empty room, except for my wife. Thank you, Sandy, for being here with me. But it is a completely empty room, and I just looking forward to the opportunity to be together with you again. And in fact, if you're new with us tuning in, we look forward to the opportunity of maybe getting to actually meet you for the first time. And so hopefully sometime in the near future that'll happen. But until then, we are very grateful for the technology that allows us to meet online. Now, before we dive into today's topic, I want to talk about what today is. Today is April 5th, and in the church calendar, traditionally speaking, this kicks off what's called Holy Week, which is Palm Sunday, which starts today on April 5th. And really what the Holy Week is an opportunity for us to kind of walk through the life of Jesus day by day, what he was going through leading up to his crucifixion on Friday, and then, of course, his death, burial, and then finally his resurrection on Easter Sunday. And so I'd like to invite you for the next 4 days, from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, on our Facebook page. I'm going to be posting video devotionals that I create that'll be posted at 7 p.m., and you can watch them whenever you want. But really, I just want to take each day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and kind of say what was going on in the life of Jesus on this day leading up to his crucifixion on Good Friday. And then, maybe some of my insights and some reflection time for us to be kind of just get our hearts prepared for this week and how awesome and amazing it is that Jesus did this for us. And so we'll kind of cap things off on Good Friday. And instead of a devotional that day, I'd like to do an online live stream service with you for Good Friday. It will be a short one, maybe about 45 minutes long, but an opportunity for us to sing songs together live, an opportunity for me to share some thoughts about Good Friday and about the cross, and an opportunity to reflect on that, and then also a time for us to be able to share in communion together. And so I'm looking forward to that. I really am looking forward to that, looking forward to doing that online with you live, and would love to have you join us this Friday, 7 p.m., April 10th for that. So that's what's coming up. Now, some good news. I've been sharing some good news throughout this series, and we'll kind of conclude that today with part 3 of the series, but some good news that's going on in our world of chaos right now. One thing that I want to share is something that locally happened here at our church services last week online, and that is I'm happy to report that last Sunday's services, we had 11 people make first-time decisions to follow Jesus with their life, that they wanted to make him their forgiver and their leader. And that was in spite of all the technology glitches we had. People, if you tried to log in for the 8:30 or 10 o'clock service, you were met with some challenges. If you got through, I say kudos to you. If you didn't get through, sorry that you kept getting rejected. The server just was not letting people in. I got rejected many times for the 8:30 and 10 trying to log in on that. But in spite of that, we still had many people join in, and we had 11 people make those decisions, and that is exciting. That makes it all worth it to me, and so I was really excited to see that happen. Now, another kind of fun, lighthearted thing, good news that has happened is I don't know what the deal is with toilet paper and why there's been a shortage of it. Every time I go to the store, which hasn't been a lot, but every time I've gone to the store recently, there is no toilet paper. What is up with that? I don't get it. Why is toilet paper the number one thing people want right now? I'm not understanding. It doesn't seem like you're in the bathroom any more now than you were before all this thing broke out. But I'm happy to report that my sister-in-law posted on social media a few days ago. She went to Costco, and they have toilet paper at Costco. In fact, here's a picture that she posted. There's tons of toilet paper, at least at the time of this picture. So if you don't have a lot left, you may want to go get it, but don't sweat it. The toilet paper is back. That's good news. As we dive into today's topic, we're talking today about contagious hope. And I really am thinking about this idea of things being contagious. The coronavirus, as we know, is a very contagious disease, and it's spread very quickly. And I think probably the only thing right now that we know of that is spreading faster than the virus itself is the fear that it creates. The coronavirus has created a lot of fear for a lot of people. And I want to acknowledge right now that it's a tough time, particularly for people who have vulnerable health, people who are elderly, or people who are immune compromised or have some kind of a health issue where there's a real fear that what if I get this virus and will I'll be able to fight it off if I get it? And there's other people who are affected in a different kind of way, and that's people who are affected financially because maybe you've been laid off from work or your hours have been significantly reduced, or maybe there is fear or rumors of layoff at your job. And so I think that creates a lot of fear for a lot of people. And one of the fears of the virus that I think that is also spreading is if you go into the grocery store or somewhere where there's people where you have to, you kind of hunker down for a while at home and then you have to go out to the store to get some supplies that you need. What happens if you go to Costco to get some of that toilet paper and you happen to pass by someone that you don't know has the coronavirus? And what if they unknowingly spread that to you? Or what if vice versa? What if you have the virus and you don't know it? You haven't shown any symptoms yet, and you unknowingly spread that virus to people that you come into contact with when you're out in public. It's a real fear that people have. Well, I want to talk about the fact that, the coronavirus, we can be carriers, but there's a different kind of thing, not virus related, that we are carriers of, and that is one of two things that we carry. You're a carrier of fear, or you're a carrier of faith. If you're a carrier of fear, then all the conversations you have, all the interactions, whether it's on social media, in person, on the phone, you're spreading that fear to the people that are around you. It comes out in your conversations. It's a topic of conversation. Or maybe you're a person who says, this is a difficult time. There's some uncertainty about this, and I know there's some tough things we have to go through, but I'm a person of faith, and I choose to live my life by faith and not by fear. And so in your conversations, you're a carrier, and you're spreading faith, and you're spreading encouragement, and you're spreading hope through those conversations. We're all carriers. The question I have for you today is this: is what you're carrying worth catching? Is what you're carrying worth catching? Paul, one of the authors of the New Testament in the Bible, is writing to the church in the ancient town of Thessalonica, and he says these words to them when they're under persecution. We always thank God for all of you and pray for you constantly. As we pray to our God and Father about you, we think of your three things: faithful work, your loving deeds, and the enduring hope you have. Why? Because of Jesus Christ. Not because of what was going on in their world, but because of the one who was Lord over their world. See, these people, he's saying, you're under intense persecution. You're going through tough times, similar to the times that we're going through now that are tough for us. He says, I see three things in you. I see faithful works, I see loving deeds, and I see an enduring hope because of the one inside of you that gives you that hope. Imagine what it would look like. Imagine in our near future, because there'll come a day when this happens. What would it look like if we find out that there is a cure or a vaccine that they've come up with for COVID-19? Do you think that the news of that would spread? You better believe it. It would spread so uncontrollably because not only is fear contagious, but good news is also contagious. And that would be great news to find out that they finally have a cure or a vaccine for this deadly virus that's wreaking havoc all over Earth right now. What would happen if that happened? There would be good news that they found the vaccination for that virus, and it would spread uncontrollably. I want to talk to you today about contagious hope. I want to talk about how it's good news and how it should spread virally, just like the coronavirus. And I want to share with you three marks that Paul talks about in the verse we just read about contagious hope. Number one, Paul mentions that they had faithful work. It's one of the marks of contagious hope is faithful work. See, I'm a person of faith. My faith in God and what He's done for me in my life means everything to me. But my faith is worth nothing if it doesn't change me. What good is it? It's useless. If my faith is not accompanied by actions, what good is my faith? The author of the book of James in the New Testament writes these words about faith. He says, what good is it, dear brothers and sisters, if you say you have faith, but don't show it by your actions? Can that kind of faith save anyone? Suppose you see a brother or a sister who has no food or clothing, and you say, goodbye, have a good day, stay warm and eat well, but then you don't give that person any food or clothing. What good does that do? So you see, faith by itself isn't enough. Unless it produces good deeds, it is dead and useless. Those are powerful words. What good is our faith if it doesn't produce deeds? It's dead and useless, James says. Here's a question I have for you this morning. If the only way to tell if you are a person of faith was by your actions, would anyone know you were a Christ follower? If you couldn't say it with your words, I'm a person of faith, would your actions back it up? Would people be able to figure it out by your mere actions? See, what does a Christ follower do? What are the actions that back up the faith that we say we have? What are those? Paul writes it this way to the church in the town of Galatia. He says this, when God is in you, it spills out in you. It overflows with love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Is your faith producing that in your life? The fruit of your life, the things that you do, the actions that you have, are they marked by joy and peace and faithfulness and kindness and goodness in the list that Paul just mentions? The question I have is, am I demonstrating any of these at my home right now? I think for all of us, home is where we're spending most of our time with the people in our household. We spend a lot of time with them right now. And the question I have is, do they see gentleness and patience and faithfulness and goodness? Do they see your kindness? Are those things coming out in your conversations, in your interactions with the people in your own household? See, contagious hope starts with my actions. Am I demonstrating my faith through what I do? Here's the second mark that Paul mentions about contagious hope. Second mark is this: loving deeds. I believe this is closely related to the first one, closely related to faithful works. It's the actions and deeds that are birthed out of love. So what does love look like, practically speaking? If you're going to have loving deeds in your life, what does that look like? I believe Paul says it best. He articulates it in a very famous chapter in a letter he writes to the church in the town of Corinth, back in ancient Corinth. He writes these words about love. He says, "Love is patient and kind. Love is not jealous or boastful or proud or rude. It does not demand its own way. It is not irritable, and it keeps no record of being wronged. It does not rejoice about injustice, but rejoices whenever the truth wins out. Love never gives up, never loses faith, is always hopeful, and endures through every circumstance." There's a great starting point for us. Paul mentions 15 characteristics of love in our life. If you want to show loving deeds in your life, there's 15 ways to start right there. See, contagious hope is accentuated by the way we show loving deeds to others. We have an opportunity as a church here locally to show loving deeds in two practical ways that I want to share with you. One, you may know, is that we have several blood drives scheduled for the month of April. We had one yesterday that filled up. More than a week in advance, it was full. We have one this Thursday, April 9th. That one also is full, filled up about 4 or 5 days ago. But there's a final blood drive on April 24th that is a few weeks off, and it's starting to fill up, but there's still openings there. And if you're someone who said, I want to demonstrate love in a practical way to people in my community, that's a great way to do that. And you can do that by just filling out the connection card form on this page, and then just make sure you submit that form, and we'll get in contact with you and get you the link so you can actually sign up to be part of that blood drive. But I will warn you, do not wait, because that drive will fill up very quickly, and if you snooze, you will lose. Make sure you get in on that drive right away. Another way that we can show love in a practical way to our community is that we have 2 school partnerships here at our Tanasbourne campus. One of them is Five Oaks Middle School, and the other one is Quitama Elementary School. And we've been in contact with them, asking them, hey, can we as a church help out with the school right now? How can we assist? And our partner, Quitama Elementary School, reached out to us this week and they said, we have a way we think that you can help out. See, there's a lot of kids who rely on the meals that they receive when they go to school, when they actually go to school. And right now, since they're not going to school, the district is delivering the meals to the kids who aren't able to get to the school through their normal bus routes. And so a bus will come through the neighborhood on the normal bus route, and when they get to the bus stop, the kids are waiting there, and they are able to get their meal then. But this one meal for a lot of those kids, that is what's sustaining them every day, one meal. And our school reached out and said, we don't have the resources to be able to provide snacks. We're giving them the meals, but it'd be nice to give them a snack, something to kind of supplement that meal. Would your church be willing to help provide snacks for these kids? And I said, we would love to help out. How many meals, give me an estimate of how many meals are you delivering per day? And the answer shocked me. He said, we're delivering 250 meals per day. Well, that is a tall order. That is a lot of snacks. I don't know that we can pull that off, but I am willing to take the challenge. We accept the challenge. And so on your behalf, I said yes. And I think that we as a church, we have a challenge to overcome. We have an opportunity to show love in practical ways by providing snacks for these kids. And I don't know if we'll be able to provide a day or maybe a week or 2 weeks of snacks, but we'll do the best we can, I know, as a church to be able to raise these snacks up. They're looking for things like granola bars and little trail mix packs and crackers and fruit leathers or fruit snacks, healthy snacks that are prepackaged, that are non-perishable, that we can collect and be able to deliver to the school. And so this week, if you would like to go out and purchase a bunch of snacks for kids, then on this Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from noon to 2 p.m., we're going to open up our campus to allow you to be able to drop those off in our lobby so that we can able to get these snacks collected and deliver them to Kutam Elementary School. And if you can't make it during the hours of noon to 2 on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, you can leave them at the door. Make sure they're under the covered area so that they don't get rained on or anything, but leave them under the door, and we'll bring those snacks in each day. And once we've collected all of them, we're going to deliver them to Kutam Elementary School and show those kids and show our community how much we love them. And so I encourage you, jump on board and be a part of that. You know, Paul says that the marks of a contagious Christian, contagious hope, is faithful works and loving deeds. And the third mark of a contagious hope is this: enduring hope. Enduring hope. I believe that you can't have you can't give rather what you don't have. And what I mean by that is, if you don't have an enduring hope inside of you, how in the world do you plan on spreading contagious hope? You can't give what you don't have. It starts on the inside. And it's nice that if you have faithful works and loving deeds, but if you don't have an enduring hope on the inside, that fire is going to get snuffed out very quickly in your life. It takes an enduring hope to be able to share contagious hope and spread contagious hope. Let's be honest. Right now, it's probably one of the hardest times for us to be able to have an enduring hope through these tough circumstances. Many of us are trapped in our homes right now. I know right now that it's tough for me because I just I've received news in the last week, maybe you too, that there's evidence that our kids may not go back to school by the end of the school year. They may be doing school online for the rest of the school year. That makes it tough to have enduring hope. I've already been trapped in the house with my family for about 3 weeks right now, and it's testing our family. It's testing our patience, testing our relationships to the max. And so that right there makes it hard for me to have enduring hope. Maybe your financial security has been tested. Maybe you're out of work, and maybe you've had your hours drop down, and your economic security, your livelihood is being tested right now. Maybe you just have a general uncertainty about what lies ahead. We don't have a crystal ball. We can't predict the future. We don't know what's going to unfold in the days ahead. Maybe that uncertainty makes it really tough for you to have an enduring hope. Maybe you're being barraged by negative news on a daily basis. Man, that kind of negativity just kind of beats you down and pummels you down, and eventually that hope just kind of disappears inside of you. Maybe you see no light at the end of this tunnel. All those things make it really tough to have an enduring hope. But I want to remind you that our hope is not dependent on our circumstances. Our hope comes from within. Hope is born out of our faith, a faith in the God who holds the universe in his hands. The question I have right now then is, so how do we have enduring hope in spite of the tough circumstances that we're going through? And I think the answer is simple and very clear. We have to change our perspective. We're allowing our circumstances to affect whether or not we have hope or not. We can't let that happen. We're allowing adversity to affect us negatively. But instead of resisting adversity, we need to accept the adversity as it comes our way. You know, psychologist and author M. Scott Peck wrote in his popular book titled The Road Less Traveled, he says this, and listen, this is super, super profound. Life is difficult. This is a great truth, one of the greatest truths. It is a great truth because once we truly see this truth, we transcend it. Once we truly know that life is difficult, once we truly understand and accept it, then life is no longer difficult. Because once it is accepted, the fact that life is difficult no longer matters. Most do not fully see this truth that life is difficult. Instead, they moan more or less incessantly, noisily, or subtly about the enormity of their problems, their burdens, and their difficulties, as if life were generally easy, as if life should be easy. What's he saying? He's saying life is not easy. We expect it to be easy, but it's not. Life is difficult. We need to accept that. Once we accept that, the fact that it's difficult no longer matters. We don't have hope because life is easy. God did not design life to be easy. God is so much more interested in our character than he is in our comfort. In fact, it is by the very obstacles and challenges and adversity that we face that we're able to overcome and grow. It builds our character. It allows us to become the people that we are. We have to be willing to go through it. Here's what the author Paul says about building up our character to the ancient church in Rome. He writes this in a letter to them. He says, "We can rejoice too when we run into troubles and trials, for we know that they help us develop endurance, and endurance develops strength of character, And character strengthens our confident hope of salvation. And this hope will not lead to disappointment. See, it is our adversity that shapes us and builds us. A number of months ago, I started realizing that my gut was beginning to protrude. It was kind of getting shapely, and it was a bit soft. And I determined that I needed to do something about it. So I found this workout online that I committed to doing 3 times a week. That was essentially, it was 9 different exercises that I do for 45 seconds, and then I take a break for 15 seconds. So in 1 minute cycle, I'd move on to the next one and the next one and go through all 9 of them. And then when I got to the end of the 9, I'd go back and repeat the whole thing 3 times more for a total of 4 times or 36 minutes. And this workout, I'm telling you, is grueling. And the first time I did it, I think for the very first week, instead of doing 45 seconds on, 15 seconds off, it was more like 20 seconds on, 40 seconds off, and I would wait way more time resting than I was actually doing workout. By the time I got to the 9 minutes, I went back and did the next one and just barely made it through, and I felt like I was dying. Like I literally thought I was dying. This workout was so tough. And so by the end of that first week, I was sore and I was tired. I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. But I kept going back week after week, and then, after a month and then 2 months, I began to realize that I was able to go from 20 seconds to 25. And then I was able to add on a 3rd repetition and do it 3 times totally through. And then I went to 30 seconds and I added a 4th one. And by the time I got to the 4th one, I was able to go 30 and then 35 and then 40 and then 45 seconds. And eventually, after a few months, I was able to do all 45 seconds of each of the workouts all the way through 9 times 4, 36 minutes. And I remember when I did it for the very first time how I just felt like I had conquered something. And then I started going to my wife on a daily basis and showing her my no longer gut, but my abs, my washboard abs. And I wanted her to touch them and go poke at them and realize how tight they were. I wanted to show off to my wife these beautiful abs that I no longer call a gut, but abs. And I think that it's interesting that the thing that shapes us and the thing that helps build us and make us stronger is the very thing we hate. It's the adversity. It's the challenge. I did not want to do that workout. I still, to this day, I've been doing it for a few months now, and I still don't like doing the workout. But I can do it. I can get through the whole thing, and it's easier. It's become easier. Relatively speaking, it's become easier. But the challenges that we face in life are meant to go in. We're supposed to accept the challenges. We're supposed to accept that adversity. And that, my friends, is how you build an enduring hope, is to be willing to accept those things. And, we're going to talk. Starting next week, we're going to start a brand new series for Easter, on Easter Sunday, called Rise, Turning Adversity into Advantage. And I'm really excited about this series because I think in the season that we're in now, we need to kind of reframe our thinking as we face adversity and as we face challenge. We have real opportunities to grow during this season. And so I want to share over the course of 4 weeks how we can do that, starting with Easter and the ultimate comeback story about Jesus dying on a cross and then rising again from the grave. The thing we celebrate on Easter, the most important thing that happened in the church history is that Jesus rose from the dead, allowing us to have victory over death and allowing us to have a relationship with God. So when we live out these 3 things, faithful works, loving deeds, and enduring hope, it breeds contagious hope in our life. Why do we need contagious hope? Why does it matter in the first place? Because we have good news. And as I said before, good news is contagious. I'm just going to get personal right now and just kind of, I got some thoughts I'm going to read to you about this good news that we have inside and why it's so important, why we need to have contagious hope. I believe it's because Jesus didn't come for those who were healthy, but for those who were sick. God didn't just shout his love from heaven. He showed his love on earth. He stripped himself of his heavenly glory and became one of us in the person of Jesus. Jesus was perfect in every way, but he befriended prostitutes. He touched the lepers. Jesus reached out to the people that religion rejected. Have you ever felt rejected by religion? Jesus came for people like that. If you ever feel like you've failed or let God down, if you feel ashamed of your past, not happy with where you're at in your present situation, you feel broken, not good enough, I want you to know that Jesus came not for the perfect people. He came for people that are messed up. And in fact, if you're part of the Westside Tamsborn campus, you would know that when you come here, we say often that no perfect people are allowed. We really believe that. I'm not perfect. My wife's not perfect. None of us are perfect. And if you're perfect, by the way, please don't come here because you're going to mess it up for all of us because we're imperfect people. And Jesus came for imperfect people. He came for those who have sinned and fall short of God's standard. Jesus came for people like me. He came for people like you. People who have hurt others or done things that they're embarrassed by. This is the good news, that we're not made right with God by our own good works or religious efforts. We're made right by God. By the grace of Jesus, through faith in Him who was perfect and gave His life on a cross in place for us as a perfect sacrifice. He didn't stay dead, and that's the good news that we're going to talk about next week for Easter. But 3 days after Jesus died, God raised Him from the dead, so that anyone who calls on His name, you will be forgiven. You will be changed. You will be saved. Saved not from hell, not just from hell rather, but saved for a life of purpose on earth that makes a difference. This is the good news, and the good news is contagious. We're made right with God by believing in Jesus. And here's the results of contagious hope. Paul shares these words to the church in that ancient town of Thessalonica. He says, "And now the word of the Lord is ringing out from you to people everywhere, even beyond Macedonia and Achaia. For wherever we go, we find people telling us about your faith in God." What if your faith became so contagious that wherever we went, people were talking about your faith? What would it look like if our whole community of believers here at Westside, followers of Jesus, were so contagious with our faith that everyone everywhere heard about our faith? That's what happens when we catch a passion for the best news in the history of the world. What we have starts to spread. Just like it did back in the time of Jesus. In the New Testament, one of the authors who recorded the life of Jesus, Matthew, writes these words after Jesus raises a girl from the dead. He says, "The report of this miracle swept through the entire countryside." Why? Because good news is contagious. Mark, one of the other authors recording Jesus' life, wrote these words about Jesus right after Jesus healed a demon-possessed man. He says, "The news about Jesus spread quickly throughout the entire region of Galilee." Why? Because good news is contagious. You know, the author Luke, when he records the early church and the passion they have for their faith, writes these words. He says, "So God's message continued to spread. The number of believers greatly increased in Jerusalem." Why was that? Because the good news is contagious. So the 3 marks of contagious hope are faithful works, loving deeds, and enduring hope. I don't know about you, but I am a carrier. I'm a faith spreader, a love giver, and a hope dealer. I promise you that if you get close to me, I promise you this, you will catch what I'm carrying. Not because of me, not because of anything that I've done, but because of Jesus. Because I am full of faith and not of fear. Let me take a moment to say thanks to those of you, by the way, who are generous, who are faith spreaders, who are love givers and hope dealers through your generosity. The last couple of weeks, I've been saying, don't forget the church during this time. Make sure you stay generous. Allow us to continue to move forward in full force of sharing and spreading faith, hope, and love to our community. And man, I've been overwhelmed emotionally as I've seen those of you who have given generously to allow us to continue to do just that, to spread faith and hope and love in our community. It's because of you that more than 450 people gathered online. In spite of all the technical difficulties, over 450 people gathered online last week. It's because of you that 11 people made first-time decisions last week in our services to choose Jesus, to make Him their forgiver and leader, and to follow Him with their life. It's because of you that we're able to host the multiple blood drives that we're hosting in the month of April. Thank you for your generosity. Because of your generosity, we are continuing to move forward in full force. And I'm so grateful to you. I'm so grateful to be part of a church that is generous and has generous people. See, our light was made to shine. When the world grows darker, our light shines brighter. How is that? You can share this message of hope. That's how you can let your light shine brighter. You can share it through social media. You can pray for people. You can invite people to join us online. That's a very practical way that you can let your light shine bright this week. Next Sunday is the easiest Sunday, and all the Sundays that happen throughout the whole year. Easter Sunday is the easiest one to invite someone to come check out Faith who normally would not be a part of a church service. And it's so easy. You can just give them the link and share it with them and invite them to join online. What are we? We are carriers. We are faith spreaders. We are love givers. And by the way, when Jesus talked about how people will know that we are people of faith, He didn't say they'll know that you're my disciples by the fact that you hoard water and toilet paper. He didn't say that you'll know the people by the fact that they're fighting over the groceries in the grocery store. No, Jesus said, your love for one another will prove to the world that you are my disciples. It's your love for one another. By the way you love, by the way you care for people, by the way you emphasize, by the way you empathize, and by the way you pray for each other, by the way you encourage each other with the word of hope. So some people want things to get back to normal, but I have more hope than that. See, I believe that normal would be settling for second best. I believe that normal was comfortable. Normal allowed us to be selfish. Normal allowed us to be spiritually safe. It was just so easy. Normal made us spiritually lukewarm. I believe this is a wake-up call for all of us to stand strong and to unite and to be bold in what we know. Jesus is the good news that changes life. He is the hope of the world. You see, fear is contagious, but so is faith. Hate is contagious, but so is love. Worry is contagious, but so is hope. We need to let our light shine, and I want you to consider this. If you allow yourself to shine, know that a candle loses nothing by lighting another candle. And we can spread our hope to other people without losing a thing, because hope comes in abundance. We don't lose hope when we give it away. That hope is always there. So what are we? We are carriers. We are faith spreaders, love givers, and hope dealers. Good news is contagious. Good news spreads. When so many today are afraid and uncertain and looking for hope, I hope you are one to let your light shine. Would you pray with me? God, we ask that in your presence today you would reveal your love, your goodness to those who need you all over the world. Father, I pray that you would give us opportunities daily when so many people are hurting and afraid to let your light shine, that we would be faith spreaders, love givers, and hope dealers in all that we do. Show us those who need your love, and may what we're carrying be worth catching as we share the good news of your Son, Jesus Christ. Use us, God. May your church continue to thrive as we meet, whether publicly house to house or digitally from computer to computer or from phone to phone, as we continue to let your light shine. You know, if today you say, I'm a person of faith, and you want to let your light shine, if what we talked about today resonates with you, that you want to have contagious hope, you can show your commitment to that, much like last week, by just clicking that heart button on your screen and say, you know, I'm all in. I'm all in. I want to have faithful works. I want to have loving deeds, and I want to have an enduring hope. I want to spread hope contagiously this week, the love of Jesus. Click that heart button. Now, maybe today you're not a follower of Jesus and you're somebody who is looking for that hope. And as I talked about Jesus and who he was, that he gave his life, a perfect life. He died on a cross for your sins and for my sins, because he came for imperfect people. He came for people who are messed up, for people who are broken. He came for me and he came for you. And if today you want that hope in your life, you can accept it today. It's a free gift that he offers. See, he died on a cross for our sins, but it didn't stop there. 3 days later, he rose from the dead, conquering death and the grave, and allowing us to have a relationship with him and to continue in that relationship with him. And I want to invite you to that today. If you want to know and accept the God who made you to love you, the one who gave his son Jesus to die for you so you can have a relationship with him, I'm going to pause right now and I'm going to say just a very simple prayer. And if that's you, and you can say that prayer along with me silently in your heart as I say it out loud, as a symbolic way of saying, God, today I don't have all the answers. I'm a broken person. I'm a sinner. I need your love. I need your forgiveness. I need your wholeness in my life. And as best as I know how, from today, from this day forward, I want to live my life for you. If that's you, would you say this prayer with me as I say it? Heavenly Father, please forgive my sins. Jesus, save me and make me new. Fill me with your Spirit so I can follow you and serve you for the rest of my life. Use me to shine your light, to show your love, and to spread your hope. Thank you for forgiving me. Thank you for saving me. My life is not my own. I give it all to you. Amen.